Hey there, this is Malorian. We're going to be doing kind of a Malorian live. It's not a Google Hangout, but we're obviously live here. Yeah. So here we got James and Mike, and they have something that we're going to be talking about. But first, let's kind of do some introductions. James, can you talk about yourself? How you kind of got into the hobby?
Sure. I got into playing Warhammer Fantasy right as 8th edition started, so I'm terrible with time, so it was probably a couple of years ago. Just as 7th edition ended, and so I never played a game of 7th, I've only played in 8th edition, but I've played a lot of 8th edition, so I've played in many tournaments. And then Mike and I met and started running tournaments of our own. So.
He's one of the guys that'll beat you with wood elves. So.
I used to.
And
elves playable?
Yeah, actually, I've played Brian in a couple of his battle reports. One of them long time ago, 3 years ago at Onslaught.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, when we did the Tree Man and I had the dragon, and then we played again and you won, and then we played again and I won. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He took the clincher. So.
Yeah. The rubber match. Yeah.
Yeah, you still haven't forgiven him, eh?
Yeah. Never. Mike?
Well, I'm Mike Anthony, kind of the old veteran around here. I got started way back in 5th edition, otherwise known as Character Hammer, for those of you who can actually remember those days. Mm-hmm. Back then, played some Dark Elves and went through some really struggling times as I kind of, had to hack my way through the game. And once 6 came around, kind of started finding my stride and went 4th into 7th and 8th. And these days, I'm playing High Elves and having loads of fun with them. And
loving the new book.
Oh yes, it's actually quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh, Frost Phoenixes, how much I love thee.
Yeah.
How much I hate them.
So bitter, isn't he?
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, James and I met quite a while ago, and, on one of our trips actually up here to Onslaught, we got chatting about actually running a tournament, and with a guy in the back seat encouraging us, we figured, what the hell, let's do this. And for those of you who are wondering, and some of Brian's old videos. You know the guy who asked the question of, you got the flaming banner, right? Yeah, that's me. the high elf guy who, with his noble 5 dragon princes, crushed 40 black orcs.
It's only 500 points. That seems like an equal trade.
Compared to, what, 180?
Yeah, totally worth it.
Fair trade.
So one thing I want to talk about is they've been running tournaments for, this is the 2nd year, 3rd year?
I believe this is our 2nd year, but it's our 4th tournament.
Yeah.
We do 2 tournaments a year.
Yeah, November and February.
So right now we're right preparing for one tournament, but coming in just a couple of weeks here, you guys have your tournament. So James, you want to kind of explain what your tournament's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. This tournament is we always run it in November. It's called Cry Havoc. Mike and I collectively are known as the Tournament of Champions. So we are under the Tournament of Champions umbrella. We run 2 different tournaments. One called Cry Havoc in November and one called Blood on the Snow in February. This tournament is an escalating tournament. It's actually November 2nd and 3rd is the actual weekend. So there's
I'm just going to get there. This is in Calgary. And we're talking Warhammer Fantasy.
Yes, definitely. No round bases.
Yeah, it's escalating campaign style.
Yeah, so we start, it's a 6-game tournament. And on the first day, you'll play 3 games with a 2,000-point army. Then you'll play 1 game with a 2,400-point army. And on the second day, you'll play 1 game with a 2,400-point army, and then the final battle with a 3,000-point army.
Ooh, Grand Army rules!
So I guess kind of talking with this, these escalating tournaments are very rare. Around here, I've only gone to a very handful over a decade. So Mike, could you kind of explain why you guys went with the escalation and what's kind of built for?
Well, in short, nobody else was doing it.
So
let's figure what the hell.
Yeah, nobody's doing it.
Yeah, to kind of be blunt and to the point. But it's just nobody was doing it. Nobody else was even considering it. So we figured, let's be different.
Yeah.
Why not?
And talking about the 3,000 for the Grand Army. Did you guys ever think about going 2,999, or you think it's good to have that one big list where you can have whatever you want?
We did think about it. We talked about that back and forth.
Yeah.
But I think the thinking was that
it came down to, if it's 1 game,
Yeah.
Nobody else
Exactly.
plays exactly at 3,000 points. The closest is 2,996 from one of the other Calgary tournaments.
But it's 5 games at that same point level.
Yeah.
Well, unless you get stuck with a small list.
Well,
but,
yeah.
Let's get back to the main point. Anyway, with the 3,000 points and all, I mean, it's one game. You get to pull out your big toys that you maybe never get to use, or see certain combinations, or etc.
Yeah, and even if someone does try to break the comp by bringing a dirty list, they only have one game to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to help them that much.
It's not the be all end all, and I mean, if they've crushed everybody else in the other 5 games, they're probably in it for the win anyway.
Yeah.
So what does it matter if they stomp the hell out of the poor 6th guy?
It's actually kind of funny listening to the people here because some of the people actually will prepare just for that 3,000. When it's just one game, they should be looking more at
There's 5 other games.
2,000.
It's the funniest thing. And the first time we ran this, the huge amount of people that were all sweating the Grand Army game.
Yeah.
And we're like, guys, the 2,000 point games are the critical ones.
Yeah.
You played
the first time we did it was 1,800
well, that
for
too,
the 3
but-
games. Yeah, and it was like nobody was paying any attention to the 1,800 point list.
Yeah.
And actually, the way we originally ran it is that you had to include your 1,800 point list in all your army lists. So when we went from 1,800 to 24, and you had to include the full 1,800 point list exactly as it is in the 2,400 point list.
Untouched, unmodified.
Yeah, unmodified. So all you could do is add the 600 points to it.
Yeah.
And then when you went to 3,000, it was the same thing. You had to have your 1,800 point list, so you just added the points on. You couldn't change any of those units. So it really changed the way people did things. This time around, we've done it that you get a bonus point if you can do that, because that's pretty punishing.
And it's 2,000, 2,400, and then 3,000,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of the requests we got was they wanted a little more points on the low end. So we're like, 1,800, 2,000, same time amount. So
It's the
no difference.
It's the age-old struggle between like what can we actually fit in a day, right? Like,
Yeah.
how many
Yeah.
games can you really play? And if once you get too big, it gets to be kind of tight on time, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
Fair enough, yeah.
that's why we're not going crazy. It's not like the 3,000 point game 1 year is going to be like 5,000 points or anything crazy. It's like,
old ages for that one.
it'd be like, all right, so now we're expanding to a 3-day tournament with Monday and everybody must play.
I'd be there.
Yeah.
So I guess here's another question for you, James. We want to talk about the comp for the tournament?
Sure. Yeah, there is no comp.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically not. The way we operate is that the scenarios will provide the comp. So people are, and we do warn people right in the players pack that if like be warned, there doesn't appear to be any comp at first glance, but if you take, for example, if you take only horde armies, you will be surprised. There will be at least one scenario that will just not work for you. Or if you
You
take
guys
it
have a
all
lot of
cavalry.
terrain as well.
Yeah, we do use quite a bit of terrain on the trade table. So
Yeah, it's. I mean, Calgary is a big fan of MSU style, so I mean, it's one of those things. Who are we to fight it, so to speak?
Yeah.
So I mean, I know we've had comments from Edmontonians in the past that it's a bit of a surprise sometimes, as I'm sure somebody in his battle reports mentioned at least once. But despite that, though, we still look at the armies and we give you a rating from essentially 0 to 0 to 3 with a bonus point if you submit your army early.
You get one extra.
And 0 means it is the toughest army, well, from our opinion anyway, that you could possibly ever come up with. And 3/4 is fluff bunny.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like
You haven't
you're
taken
here
any
to
optimal choices. There's nothing,
you're here to have fun. If you get smoked, hopefully you're not going to cry.
And at the end of the day, the comp even at its worst is only worth 4 points. So it's not an overwhelming amount. It's, to be honest, mostly it's for us. It's to help us decide who's going to play who in the first round. Really, I mean, is to place the armies.
It's not like it's a multiplier where every game,
No.
it's nothing that.
It's a flat value. It's at the beginning. It does count to the end for your score.
It does count your overall score.
But I mean, it's one of those things. Even if you did get a flat 0, it's only 4 points.
Yeah.
I mean,
it means if you want to come and take a hard list, you can. It's not. I mean, it's the tournament of champions. It's not the tournament of
tournament of pussies. I mean,
exactly. So yeah, it's
So I guess, I mean, what's some guidelines you have from whether it's a 1, 2, 3? Is there anything you have that really breaks it apart, or? You know, is it race specific, or is this kind of like you look at it, it's almost like a bell curve? Like, which way do you guys tackle these?
Well, generally, I end up doing most of this because James
Mike has better knowledge of the armies.
better knowledge. A little,
but there are things. What we'll do is Mike and I will discuss them. What we'll normally do is I'll look at it, depending on who looks at it first, we'll assign a rating, and then the other person will come and double check it, and then say, "Yep, I agree," or "No, I think it should be harder," or "No, I think it should be less." But generally speaking, we can usually come to a consensus. And there's usually things that we'll look at it and say, "Okay, this will count against you." Like if you're taking, a Kadai destroyer, that's generally going to be a point against you because it's a really hard unit. Like it's a hard monster. And there's a few other things like we do allow Storm of Magic in your as part of your rare percentage.
Same with Monstrous Arcanum.
And Monstrous Arcanum, yeah. So there's a few monsters in there that will definitely count against your comp score if you take them and if you trick them out the right way.
Although we do allow most of them. Some of them have restricted forms, and some of them you can only buy a certain amount of upgrades just because some of them.
Dreadsaurian.
Dreadsaurian is a good example, as the obvious ethereal ability is banned because that is ridiculous. I'm not saying it's impossible to win, but how many armies carry magical weapons? And I don't mean characters here. I'm talking literal armies to deal with them. I mean, and okay, besides demons, obviously.
You have to be like a dwarf army with your magical war machines or something like that.
Even then, though, but then you buy them the ambusher upgrade, and then you got one shot, make it count.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe something to talk about with this here is just the whole fact where you guys, I mean, a lot of tournaments are, pretty much every tournament allows the Chaos War, but you guys really allow a lot of the Storm of Magic. I guess even to expand this more to Calgary, do you guys find that it really is making the game more interesting, having all these different monsters and all this stuff?
Personally, I would say so, because one, you get to see a lot of things that you normally wouldn't because it's tournament restricted or the book's restricted or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I know one of my good buddies down there, his favorite monster is the Arachnarok. But he's a Chaos Warriors player, so he can't use it in a normal army. In this, he gets to use it, and he loves it, and enjoys using it all the time in our tournaments because of that.
Yeah. The other thing it does is it really opens up a lot of avenues for some armies that feel like they're stuck. Like I played Wood Elves for years, and I used to love. There was another tournament that ran that would allow you Storm of Magic, so I got to play with it, and being able to take the Shadow Mage with my Wood Elves was so great.
Dark Emissary.
Dark Emissary, yeah, exactly. So just things like that, you can add in things to just give your army a whole different dimension, and you can play it a different way. So it allows a lot more flexibility, I think.
Well, there's that, and as many people love doing, they love buying their chaff through there. So single saber tusk.
Yeah.
Pretty nicely.
One cold one.
Yeah, exactly.
Second deployment, another cold one.
So there's also a bit of a strategy to it too, because I mean, there's times where some people will go out and they buy a shit ton of the little stuff.
Yeah.
Chaff, small monsters, stuff like that. Excuse me, then even myself in other tournaments, for me, I love taking the bigger monsters. So I have, it's like, oh, look, I can put 2 dragons in here. Boom, 2 dragons. Deal with that.
So I guess one of the questions some people might have is that when you have, access to these monsters and it's non-comped, what do you normally see? Is it usually the people that are there with really strong competitive lists, or do you see more of the fun players, or a real, a gradient between them all? What's kind of what you've been seeing so far?
I would definitely say a mix between the two.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because no matter what tournament you're on, whatever restrictions, whatever comp you put up, there's going to be that guy that knows the way to game the system.
Yeah, there's always someone who finds loopholes.
Finds the loopholes, makes the rock-hard solid army for that comp.
You know that guy. Everyone knows
that
guy.
Come on.
Everyone has one of those guys.
And if you don't, you're definitely lying.
Sometimes I'm that guy.
Yeah, but you're just not very good at it.
Well,
so there. But anyway. But we get a lot of the guys too. They take themed armies. They're fluffy. They're not exactly top tier armies here. They're not top tier generals themselves. But they're here to have fun. Yeah. They come. They play 6 games. They want to relax, play a weekend of Hammer, get away from the family or work or whatever. But but still,
eat some good food.
Yeah, that's
something we always have too. Yeah,
that's the next thing I was going to talk about. I mean, some tournaments you might get pizza, you might get no food. What do you guys have at your tournament?
We provide lunch both days, and
free of charge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's included in the price, and it's always good. It's one of the things that I sort of insisted on from the start was that we have good food. So because one of the things about a tournament, the tournament setting, is it's all about the social aspect of the game too. It's part of it is the playing, but part of it is the socialization and talking about the stories and what happened in this game and what happened in your second game and things like that. And the food is part of that. It's all tied together. So I always make sure that we have really good food.
Well, I mean, hell, in our second February tournament, we gave away a steak dinner.
Yeah, we did a steak
for
dinner,
free, and I'm not talking like razor thin,
we did
not razor thin, $2 Safeway steaks here.
I was outside in February in Calgary barbecuing steaks. It was about minus 15. Yeah.
I was very much warm inside, laughing my ass off.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
And I guess another part with this too is this tournament here is part of the whole Alberta GT. So this is the second tournament of the year that gets points towards this. I guess going back with the whole competitive aspect, do you think, especially now that this is the second year of the GT, do you think people will be coming here with more like, I got to come here and get these points? Or do you think you'll still get like that big spread of people saying like, I just want to be there for fun?
I think there's going to be as everything, there's going to be a combination. I know that there's some people who it's on their minds for sure. They're definitely thinking, okay, well, there's going to be 25 guys there. It's going to be a decent sized tournament, so it will be a chance to pick up some points and on the circuit. But it's also that aspect that it's a good time. Like you come and you have fun and eat some good food. But yeah, I think we do get a good spread. And actually, this tournament we have more new players than we've ever had. Like. There's always that core of gamers that you see tournament in, tournament out. But this tournament in particular, there's quite a bit of growth going on in the fantasy scene in Calgary. Yeah, it's good to see.
It's starting to get there, but we definitely want to see some more Edmontonians come down.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we'd like to see.
For those of you watching, get your ass in gear.
Well, I think even like Alberta wide, right? I mean, the one thing you see with this Alberta GT, I mean, if you're whether from Red Deer or Grand Prairie, I mean, come on down.
Yeah.
So I guess while we're saying that, I mean, how can they get? I'll put some links underneath. But do you guys want to say like where people should be emailing, or if you guys have anything else?
Yeah, well, we have a Gmail account set up for the tournament, and it's Tournament of Champions, and it's champions with a Y, so CHAMPYONS, just to make it a little more confusing. It's a Tournament of Champions, all one word, @gmail.com.
That was his idea for the Y.
It's old-timey. It's old-timey.
Don't blame me. I'm innocent.
And you can also look us up on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page at Tournament of Champions, so you can look us up there, and that'll be all of our information. Also, if you go to the Alberta Wargaming GT page, there'll be links to our tournaments through that page as well.
All right, so that's pretty much it. If you're in Alberta, make sure that you should be signing up for this. It's November 2nd and 3rd. I'll have all the information down below. And just one last thing. What would be the best thing about the tournament you'd say?
The food.
The food? I cook yourself?
I'm a chef.
The epically written scenarios. Well, of course, who else?
The celebrities.
All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later with a bunch of battle reports, because I'll be there.
Yes.
So, see you later, and...
Signing off.
Woo! Bye.